Welcome back to my channel Knowledge Chronicle.
Have you ever wondered how life begins on a bare rock or in a dried-up lake? How does a lifeless place slowly transform into a lush green forest teeming with life? Or have you ever thought about the hidden services that nature provides us without even charging a single rupee? Welcome back to Knowledge Chronicle, where we decode science in the most fascinating way. Today's topic is not just about nature, it's about how nature heals, grows, and serves humanity in ways we often ignore. Let's dive into ecological succession and ecosystem services. Let's begin with ecological succession, a term that refers to the gradual and predictable change in the species composition of a given area over time. This change happens in response to environmental conditions, like climate, soil quality, or disturbances such as fires or floods. And here's the key. It's not random. It's orderly, sequential, and leads to something called a climax community, a stable and balanced community that exists in equilibrium with its environment. So, there are actually two major types of ecological succession. First up, we've got primary succession. This happens in places where, basically, no life has ever existed before. Just imagine like freshly cooled lava, bare rock, or even a newly formed pond. These spots have no soil, no bacteria, totally lifeless. For example, when lava cools and hardens after a volcanic eruption, it leaves behind just bare rock. Over centuries, tiny organisms like lichens start breaking down that rock into soil. It's a really slow process, but eventually, mosses show up, then grasses, then shrubs, and finally, trees start to take root. This entire journey, from nothing to a full-blown forest, is called primary succession, and honestly, it takes hundreds to thousands of years. Secondary succession. This is where nature shows its resilience. It occurs in areas where life once thrived but was wiped out, yet the soil remains. You can see this happening in places like abandoned farmlands, forests that have been burnt, or lands that have been flooded. Now, because the soil, and sometimes even seeds, are already present, secondary succession tends to happen much faster. Picture this, a forest cleared by fire. In just a few months, grasses make a comeback, followed by shrubs, and before you know it, within a few decades, trees have reclaimed the area. It's like watching nature hit the fast-forward button. Every step in the journey from the beginning to the climax of succession is known as a seral stage, and each of these steps forms what's called a seral community. As you transition from one seral stage to the next, you'll notice a few things. The number of species increases, the diversity gets better, and the total biomass, which is the amount of living matter, also grows. It's like nature's way of building up, block by block. So, based on habitat, plant succession is of two types. Hydrarch succession happens in wet environments, like ponds and lakes. It actually starts with these tiny phytoplanktons, then comes the floating plants, followed by rooted hydrophytes, then grasses, and in the end, trees take over. Eventually, the water body fills up with soil and debris, and well, it basically turns into land. Xerarch succession, occurs in dry areas like deserts or even bare rocks. Here, lichens are the pioneer species. They actually break down rock and help form soil. Then, bryophytes appear, followed by herbs, then shrubs, and finally, forests. This whole transition, from dry xeric to medium mesic moisture conditions, marks a complete xerarch succession. Succession can be interrupted by natural or human activities like fires, deforestation, or even floods. These disturbances can push the succession process back to an earlier stage, but nature doesn't stop. It recovers, starts over, and builds again. Here's an important takeaway. No matter whether succession starts in water or on land, it usually ends with a mesic climax community. Not too dry, not too wet. Balanced, stable. Now let's talk about something we benefit from every day, but honestly rarely notice: ecosystem services. So these are the benefits humans get from healthy ecosystems. They include air and water purification. Forests filter pollutants and, give us oxygen and clean water. Flood and drought mitigation. Wetlands act like sponges, absorbing excess rain and preventing floods. So, let's talk about nutrient cycling. You know, bacteria, fungi, and other decomposers are constantly at work, recycling nutrients and making the soil fertile. It's pretty amazing how this natural process keeps the earth healthy. Now, every plant and even every rock out there can actually be a home to insects, birds, or even mammals. Nature really does find a way to make use of every little thing as a habitat for wildlife. When it comes to pollination of crops, bees and butterflies play a huge role by helping to pollinate our food crops. Honestly, no bees means no food. It's that simple and that important. So forests, they actually trap carbon dioxide, which really helps in fighting climate change. Nature honestly inspires art, brings peace, creates a spiritual connection, and even boosts our mental health. What's the value of these services, right? Well, in a groundbreaking study, scientist Robert Costanza and his team actually tried to put a price tag on nature's services. Their estimate, a whopping $33 trillion per year. That's almost double the world's entire gross national product. Pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? And get this, 50% of this value comes from just one service: soil formation. Other services like climate regulation, recreation, and nutrient cycling add up the rest. Next time you see a forest, a pond, or even a patch of grass, just remember, nature isn't just beautiful. It's actually working silently to support all life on Earth. Ecological succession shows us how nature rebuilds and evolves, and ecosystem services remind us that we owe our survival to these processes. If this video helped you understand nature a little better, your one like, share, and subscribe will help us create more valuable content. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning with Knowledge Chronicle.